Hello Indie Game fans, releases are winding down, but we have a good week of early access and 1.0 releases, along with what hopefully is a good week for new announcements with the Game Awards and whatever GTA 6 ends up being. So let's begin with the Anacrusis, a 4-player co-op first-person shooter inspired by Left 4 Dead, only with a sci-fi theme and aliens instead. This has had a relatively modest reception since its early access release in January 2022, where it looks like it has gotten to a good enough state that the developers are willing to say it's done, but based on Steam player populations, doesn't seem to be doing that hot. I'm sure it will get a bump upon the 1.0 release, but it goes to show how tough making a co-op shooter is, even with the popularity of games like Left 4 Dead.
Everyone in here!
Come to the sea by Beltane, he said. And I'm doing it. I'm coming. I must be off my trolley.
The next game from developer Inkle, best known for 80 Days and Heaven's Vault, is titled A Highland Song, a platforming title set in the Scottish Highlands with an interesting musical element to the platforming and looks beautiful.
Come to the lighthouse, Moira. Come as fast as you can.
We also have the follow-up to a pixel art turn-based roguelike in Soulash 2, one that has sandbox elements in which there is an entire procedurally generated world which you are free to explore. It looks very systems heavy and is not the most visually appealing, but if you're hardcore into traditional roguelikes, I'm sure that you will be able to find something here. The way that the systems interact and the emergent stories that will come out of this would be the fun part, so let's see how early access goes for this game. Hey, if you made it this far, subscribe to my weekly newsletter to keep on top of all things indie games, link in the description below.
Last thing I need is having to recount you our trip from the swamps in its entirety. Especially not after I barely put you back together. And sure, maybe a bone sticks out here and there. But those are the details. Long story short, we're screwed.
I previewed Blood West when looking at the upcoming games of the month, in which this stealth horror first-person shooter with immersive sim elements has impressed in early access and is releasing out of it.
The present is just one big disappointment. Now it's easier to fall into a demon's maw than to actually rob someone.
It has a fun, weird West setting, which is the Wild West with occult elements and monsters, in which you play as the undead gunslinger, having to purge the frontier of a curse, and should be one of the better games of the year. From the look and visuals alone, I'm sure that you will be able to tell what the inspiration of Born of Bread is, since this is a Paper Mario-like turn-based RPG that looks awesome and will be for fans of the genre. You play as a flower golem born of bread who has to explore the vibrant world in which a being from another age is causing mayhem in the world, which our protagonist and his friends must resolve. It looks absolutely adorable, and while the turn-based combat with active timing elements style combat isn't anything new these days, hopefully they managed to make a well-crafted and light-hearted title.
The Day Before offers a uniquely reimagined journey into post-apocalyptic MMO open-world survival.
I just want to put this down for the record, since The Day Before is a very ambitious looking open-world third-person MMORPG set in a post-pandemic world, which seems a lot like The Division, and is the second most wanted game on Steam, but delay after delay and general dodginess behind the game has led to speculation that it is all smoke and mirrors, with the developer and publisher being ones that I have not heard of before, so who knows if it will actually release.
Rogue traders, daring explorers who benefit from a unique style of freedom normally unheard of in the Imperium, with means to decide the fate of entire regions of space.
Another high-potential title of the week is Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, a CRPG title that is based on the Warhammer 40k IP, with this developer having made the Pathfinder CRPG games, which are very well received, so it's a no-brainer fit and should be great as well, and might even be a good introduction to the 40k lore, even if you have no prior knowledge.
Even space marines of the Adeptus Astartes. Ulfar is a lone space wolf survivor whose pack was defeated by the murderous Drukari. All of them are ready to follow you on the battlefield, where their unique skills can be the deciding factor between victory and defeat. But the rogue trader's true might lies in their personal void ship and the resource-rich worlds under their control. This is what makes them such dominant figures. Even still, the enemies of humanity are numerous, and they will not relinquish an opportunity to strike. And worst of all, a ghastly peril lurks. An insidious corruption which works to undermine the strength of the Imperium's most staunch defenders. Chaos. Only with uncompromising zeal and steadfast faith can rogue traders withstand the lure of the ruinous powers. And those who succumb to the darkness risk a calamitous fate in exchange for their soul. Only madness and damnation await.
Smaller games begin with Bug and Seek, a bug-catching exploration game in which you are attempting to fill up the local bug museum which you bought, looking kind of pleasant and cozy, even though you are technically murdering bugs. There have been a number of variants on chess, with the latest being Chessarama, a puzzle game that sees you moving chess pieces according to their rules, but with a lot more variety in scenarios, such as on a soccer field or on a farm, and looks neat. If you're into idle games, a neat looking title is Idle Cave Miner, in which you and your team of miners go ever deeper underground in search of rare minerals and ore, with a great pixel art look as well. Kingpin Reloaded is a remastered version of a boomer shooter named Kingpin Life of Crime from 1999, looking to be a decent update with some new features like rebalanced gameplay, a quest system, and more. Developer Silver Lemur Games has been chugging away, with Legends of Amberland 2, The Song of Trees, being the sequel to a game from 2019, and it's a classic party-based dungeon-crawling Western-style RPG that looks like a real throwback. Picayune Dreams is another Vampire Survivor style bullet heaven title that looks kind of weird, but people seem to be enjoying the demo, so perhaps check it out. The top 5 begins with Stravok's Dream, an open-world isometric action RPG that has been described as Skyrim meets Diablo and could be interesting because of that. In addition to the isometric combat that looks interesting with things like dodge rolls, the more interesting part is the open-world structure in which you are free to explore, all against the backdrop of warring gods and various factions that you can choose to ally with or oppose. You can also inhabit a new body whenever your previous one dies, with additional systems like cooking, sleeping, crafting, and even the ability to take out loans to buy houses, so it looks like an ambitious title worth checking out. If you prefer more action in your isometric RPGs, perhaps Three Kingdoms Zhao Yun will be of interest, a Chinese wuxia title set in the Three Kingdoms period, in which it tells a tale of a well-known general. It looks gorgeous with fun-looking combat, with both melee and horseback options, as well as enemies both man and beast. It is from a Chinese developer, so we'll have to see on the quality of the English translation, but it's impressive to see a game like this for sure. If you're an indie developer and have no idea how to start with marketing your game, get on my mailing list via the link in the description below, where I'll send you some free templates and guides soon. There have been a number of blacksmithing games over the years as well, so let me know if you're interested in the list of the best, with While the Iron's Hot being the latest to use the theme. It's a crafting adventure title in which forging and crafting various items to sell is the core, which then allows for various upgrades to be purchased, but the crafting is used in more clever ways as well, such as progressing the story forward through repairing a critical machine. You can even venture out of town to explore, get materials and more, but notably there is no combat in this, looking to be quite the interesting concept with a good pixel art look as well.
A roguelite city builder where every settlement presents you with different challenges. Things start out pretty familiar. A blank canvas you need to turn into a thriving economy.
Here's a 1.0 release of interest in the roguelite city builder Against the Storm, which has an astounding 15,000 Steam reviews and an overwhelmingly positive rating, and that is even after first launching on the Epic Games Store and is still in early access. Set in a world of apocalyptic rain, lead your people to reclaim the wilderness and survive, ensuring that they have the critical resources needed to fend off threats. But even if you do fail, there is carryover to the larger meta game. I've seen the developers add updates after updates to the game, really polishing up and adding so much content, so if you've not gotten it, now's the best time to jump in. And as an added bonus, if you've watched this far, I'm giving away a Steam key for this game, and all you have to do is sign up to my newsletter to be eligible, link in the description below.
Self-sufficient, you must fulfill her orders. Venture into the ominous forest, or win your people's hearts. If you succeed, you will be rewarded with resources to spend on a variety of permanent upgrades, and then move on to the next settlement. With hundreds of gameplay modifiers in 6 distinct biomes, every run presents a new puzzle to solve. So, on to the next one? A new challenge always awaits in Against the Storm.
It was a huge surprise to me that Feyland came back to life, a Zelda 2 style Metroidvania title that was kickstarted and then kind of went radio silent, where I've covered this game as far back as 2019, so I'm finally glad to see the release, even if it is an early access launch for now. It's a gorgeous pixel art title with a pretty stereotypical setup, in which our protagonist is a hunter living alone in the woods. But one day, a horde of trolls and orcs destroys it and he is forced to flee. There is of course a larger threat looming in the background, with him somehow being the chosen hero to save the realm, and thus our adventure begins. The open world exploration looks fun, as is the combat, with backflips, dashes and rolls, where this launch version comprises of 2 out of 6 planned chapters, which is about 30% of the content, so fingers crossed it's good and will allow the community and developers to shape the final product, and you can find more upcoming pixel art titles in this video.